got the real deal now. Gonna kick this sorry ass out on the street. What you got? You used to think you owned the street. We'll pack your bags and your ass is dead meat. Victory sweet.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Lowdown Show, episode 99, right here on No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast, your Canadian wrestling podcast that talks about NXT and no holds barred on anything we say, pun intended. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at No Holds Barred WP. You can follow myself at Real Kyle Masters, and you can follow us on Instagram, No Holds Barred WP, all one word. If you want to listen to us on the go, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and Spreaker is where you can find us. Spreaker is a glorious podcast app available for all Android and Apple devices. It allows you to make a free profile, listen to us live on the air, chat with us live on the air in the Spreaker chat, and you can also listen to all previous episodes of the podcast. You can also go to our YouTube page. That's where you can find all the video versions of the podcast, youtube.com/NHBWR. Hit that subscribe button and that bell icon for all upload updates. I am your host, as always, on The Lowdown Show and right here on the Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. Your self-proclaimed greatest host, Kyle Masters. Guys, welcome to The Lowdown Show. You guys don't know what The Lowdown Show is, or I review NXT every single week. I don't do the main roster for obvious reasons. I barely even watch the main roster anymore. I don't know about you guys, but I've been missing a lot of days, been catching up on just highlights. But I literally just have like zero interest right now in the main roster. NXT is just so good from start to finish every single week. It delivers a jam-packed show. It leaves you wanting more. It leaves you wanting to tune in the next week, every single week. I don't understand why and find a reason why I should be doing the main roster if it's not going to be as good as NXT. I'm just saying it's only an hour long a week, and NXT beats both Raw and SmackDown every week, in my opinion. A lot of people have their own opinion out there. That's all right. Anyways, this is where I review NXT. Episode 99, as you heard in the intro. We are next week is going to be marking the 100th anniversary of, or 100th episode of The Lowdown Show since we first started this way back when. I mean, when we first started the podcast, me and my old co-host, Corporate Cappy, it wasn't called The Lowdown Show. We're just doing regular reviews. I think The Lowdown Show was about a year into the podcast. Is when we first named it The Lowdown Show, and it was named after our boy D'Lo Brown and his finishing the Frog Splash, the Lowdown. So we named it after that, and we stuck with it. It's gone over a drastic change logo-wise, layout-wise. There's been so many Lowdown Show logos. I think I'm going to make a video package for the video version of the show next week, just displaying all the different logos that we've actually used for this show. There's been so many. It's like my OCD, I think. I always love to change it. As you can see, if you've seen on Twitter already, we have the new fresh look. I wanted to make it more NXT, the logo. I kept the same font, but I wanted to make it more NXT. If it makes any sense, NXT-ized, because I only do NXT here. I only do the reviews for NXT. I'll do the predictions for takeovers. And speaking of that, actually, I will be doing Backlash prediction podcast on Saturday. I believe it's probably going to be around the same time at 2 in the afternoon, just like today. So stay tuned for that on Saturday. During the day, guys, I'll be doing a live Backlash predictions podcast as well. But mainly the main focus of this podcast is NXT, and it's just because I love it so much. I fell in love with NXT years ago, and it's been just a great brand and a great product every single week. It delivers on pay-per-views, takeovers. It doesn't overdo anything. There was a little something this week about NXT that I want to get into. I mean, it's not always perfect. But there is something this week I'll get into later on in the Lowdown Show. But yeah, Backlash predictions on Saturday. As for the 100th episode of the Lowdown Show, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I'm still thinking about ideas. Ideas are going through my head constantly. I don't know if I'm going to do a YouTube Live special. I'm thinking more and more maybe YouTube Live next week. I'm not sure when it's going to be. My work week next week is really busy Monday to Friday. I have basically a mid-shift, which kind of sucks. I don't end work till around 9 o'clock at night. If I'm going to do it next week, it's probably going to be around 10 p.m. I know it's very late, but it's probably going to be a late night on a weeknight sometime next week. Or I might push it all the way to Saturday because I'll be off next Saturday, so we'll see. But yeah, as for next week, 100th episode, it's going to be huge. I may get Corporate Cappy to come in and just guest host with me for the 100th episode. I mean, he has to. He's been a big part of it, so I'll be talking to him. I'm guaranteeing he'll probably be with me on the show for that. And then, he can go off and do his thing. If you guys don't know, he's doing his own YouTube thing about hobby breaks and collectibles podcast. They actually have their first episode live on Spreaker right now. If you go over to Corporate Cappy's Twitter page, he's posted it on there. So go give that a listen if you're into that stuff. Him and our boy Tyler Jones was a guest star in that one, and he'll be starting up his YouTube page very soon. So that'll be it for that. As for the live chat right now, we got Tiffany from That Ass Podcast. Tiffany, what's going on? Guys, go check out her podcast. That Ass Podcast is on YouTube as well. Go give her a follow on Twitter as well. Go give a podcast a follow on Twitter as well. Tiffany, go back and watch this video version of the podcast. You can see your poster. You got me in the fan mail right behind me. I still got to get a tack for it. It's going to be hung up right about where my finger is now. It's going to be right up there. It's going to be part of the whole background here that I have going for the podcast. So thank you very much for that as well. Cuba Girl 125, what's going on? She's here in the chat as well, asking if I'm doing call-ins for Saturday for the Backlash one. Yeah, I guess I can open up the Skype lines for that. Because I haven't been really watching lately, so I'm going to need a little bit of help from you guys out there. If you guys want to call in, I will open up the podcast. Yeah, I need to do another coffee podcast, Tiff. Oh, yeah, we do. I'm going to have to mentally prepare myself for that one next time. If you guys don't know, I was a guest star on one of her podcasts on her channel, and we called it That Coffee Podcast, and basically we went and bought a shit ton of K-Cups and drank coffee live on YouTube and gave our reactions to it. A lot of caffeine, I must say. I had a caffeine overdose. It was pretty bad, but I'm going to definitely mentally prepare myself for the next one. But yes, Lowdown Show, 100 episode next week. Backlash predictions on Saturday. Like I said, I will open up the Skype lines if you guys want to call in and discuss Backlash. It's happening this Sunday. Very, very, very early pay-per-view, as we just had a big special last week. And so we will see what happens. But let's get into it. Lowdown Show, NXT. You're here. This is what you're here for. Hear the review and results for NXT this week. Huge episodes. It was highlighted by Pete Dunne versus Roderick Strong, the revenge of Pete Dunne from what Roderick Strong did at TakeOver New Orleans. We also had TM61 facing off against the Street Profits. It was highlighted for this week. And we also had Candice LeRae versus Bianca Belair, and what was the frame of mind of Candice LeRae after the big attack by Tommaso Ciampa last week, which everyone wanted to know, what the hell, why is this? And she wanted to know, why is this still continuing? So we still have yet to find that out. Cuba Girl in the chat, has God brought you back from the last coffee you had? No, I actually didn't have coffee for 3 or 4 days after that day. Not going to lie. Anyways, back to NXT. We had, before the opening of the show, before the intro, we had that Undisputed Era backstage promo they have on that little set thing with their theme playing in the background. I really love that. You get that NWO-esque feel to these guys. I know they're trying not to go the same direction, but they're kind of picking some things from the NWO to inspire this team. I love this faction. If you guys know me, I am a huge Undisputed Era fan since they've come into NXT. Big fan. I have the shirt. I'm looking to get in the armband too. I'm a big mark for these guys. They had their promo talking about last week with Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. The whole thing with Adam Cole facing Oney Lorcan for that North American Championship, that random championship match for whatever reason Oney Lorcan deserved. And then Danny Burch coming in after and helping out as Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong attacked Oney Lorcan. Strong talks about Pete Dunne, his match for tonight as well. And then they do the whole 4 pose thing with the Undisputed Era sign. Then we had the opening of the show. I want to say something about the opening of NXT. I don't know if you guys get the same feel. Sorry, my nose is driving me nuts right now. I forgot to blow it, and I'm losing my mind. So bear with me. Anyways, the opening of NXT, that opening intro video, I love it. It reminds me about the old Raw is War intro. If you guys remember, with all with Stone Cold walking through the fire and that heavy metal theme playing in the background. I get those vibes when I'm watching NXT, that intro video. I love it. I love what they've done with that. They picked the perfect theme for it. You get that feel, that hardcore feel, that epic show feel when you see this promo. I love the video they have for NXT, and they play it every single week. So I just want to point that out. I love the way they did that, and I hope they keep that for a while. It looks like they are going to keep it because they keep adding to it week after week with new footage in the video. Cuba Girl 125. I was just thinking, who's the Kenny Omega in the Undisputed Era? If you're comparing them to the Bullet Club, Kenny Omega is probably, I'd say Adam Cole, but Roderick Strong's got some traits there as well. It's pretty tough to tell, Cupid Girl. Tiffany Candace had an amazing performance. Yeah, she did. We'll get into that later on. So we opened up NXT with Kairi Sane. She opens up in a match against a girl named Shaza McKenzie. And I'm going, okay, so this chick's getting an entrance. I'm going, okay, so maybe they have plans for her, or this is the start of something. If you guys remember back when some of the current women and current superstars that first debuted in NXT, they had a different character to them. They had a different entrance music to them, a.k.a. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Alexa Bliss. That's why I'm comparing this girl, Shaza McKenzie, to Alexa Bliss. But this girl's from Australia, so another Australian talent, and she's got this Alexa Bliss debut vibe, just the way her character is, her attire, and her music. If you guys remember how when Alexa Bliss debuted, she had that bubbly character with the kind of like cheerleader-esque character going, and then she developed into what she is today. So hopefully they transition to something else with Shaza McKenzie, because right now with the thing she got with the heart in the middle, that's not going to work. That won't float. Maybe it's just a starting thing, and then definitely she'll transition into something else. But she's very rusty in the ring too. I don't know what was going on here. I was expecting maybe a little bit more if this girl's going to get an entrance. She looked very, very rusty and slow. It looks like she needs to loosen up a little bit. She looked very, very tight in the ring, and it just didn't look good. It kind of looked like Kairi Sane had to carry the entire match by herself, which she did. Ended up being a very quick match, and Kairi Sane hit her insane elbow for the win. Right after the match, Lacey Evans came out, and I'm going, okay, so something's going on here. Because they're heavily talking about it on commentary about Kairi Sane looking to stick it to Shayna Baszler, and then Lacey Evans comes out. She says she's sorry about her past to Kairi Sane, being all apologetic. Says that Kairi Sane belongs in NXT. Since seeing her performance at the Mae Young Classic till now, and extends her hand in an apology. And Lacey just knocks out Kairi Sane with a right fist. So looks like this is turning into a feud, Kairi Sane versus Lacey Evans. I'm all for that. We need a couple more women's feuds going on in NXT while everything else is sorting itself out. I love the way they're doing this. So we got Lacey Evans and Kairi Sane trying to make their mark here in the women's division. So I like it. I like the feud's all about. And Lacey Evans really portraying her character as more of a heel character, even though she's the America's Miss America kind of army gimmick kind of thing. So it's weird, but we'll see what happens with it. Lacey Evans is getting to me more and more. Cuba Girl says in the chat, and Tiffany says she loves Kairi. Everyone loves Kairi. I just don't like her entrance music. That shit's got to go. I don't know what the hell, man. I can't get hype for Kairi Sane with that yo ho pirate music. I know she's all about that. That's her gimmick. She's the pirate princess. She's all about yachting in real life. But that theme could be 100 times better. I would rather her come out to the Pirates of the Caribbean theme than that fucking shit. I don't know what the hell that is. CF4 $, get on this and please make a better theme. This is absolutely cringe. I can't get hype for Kairi Sane with that. I can't. Come on, don't you want to walk her plank? Oh, Tiffany, come on. Damn. Next we had a backstage interview with Candice LeRae, and I always forget her freaking name. She's dating Finn Balor. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm drawing a blank right now. I apologize. Anyway, she's getting a backstage interview. She's talking about not being an easy year for her and her husband, Johnny Gargano, and talking about finally being here in the WWE together. And Tommaso Ciampa was basically a part of their family, and then she couldn't believe what Ciampa has done in the last year to break this up, and doesn't know why he's been doing this. Candice got very, very emotional, and she's basically starting to cry. And she talked about Gargano, having to look at Gargano, her husband, leave on a stretcher last week, and it just got really emotional for her, and she left crying, saying she had to get ready for her match, and Candice will go one-on-one against Bianca Belair later on that night. And at that point, you're like, is she going to be in that right frame of mind for that match? You see what's happened with her this past year and what she's had to watch, ever since the first DIY split back at last year's NXT TakeOver Chicago. Kathy Kelly, thank you, Cooper Girl, for mentioning to me. But anyways, you think about what Candice LeRae has has seen and gone through with Johnny Gargano in the past year since last year's NXT TakeOver Chicago. She saw the best friends and basically Ciampa being part of their family just ruin that friendship and sending Johnny Gargano like out of action for a while and then coming back, and they had their whole rekindled of their feud. And what they've gone through in this past year, you got to think like it's getting a lot to Candice LeRae. It looks like now she's reached her breaking point, and it showed a lot in her match with Bianca Belair later on in the match. Or later on the night. Glorious Greg joining the chat. What's going on, Glorious Greg? He was our 2017 Fan of the Year. What is going on, my brother? He's here joining us in the live chat. So we moved on from this, and we had a Lars Sullivan kind of vignette promo about his dominance in NXT. Again, I'm getting a lot of Kane vibes from this guy. I don't know if you guys are too. He sounds like Kane. He's got like the same... that voice and the way he says his words and he says sentences, I hear Kane. If you close your eyes, I'd probably think it was Kane. And I'm talking about like the Kane back from when he got unmasked from like 2004 to 2008 kind of Kane. The same kind of thing. I'm getting those vibes, like especially his voice is really getting to me. But I very much like the vignette promo showing his dominance and basically this is the era of destruction. He says they can do a lot with Lars Sullivan. There's a lot of potential with this guy to be maybe that next scary freak monster type character. It looks like they were kind of going to do it with Braun Strowman, but they kind of swayed away from that. Now he's a babyface. Really didn't like that idea, but Lars Sullivan looks like he could be that next kind of monster, like the Kane, the unmasked Kane, that kind of monster back in the day. It looks like they're going in that direction with him. So I really like that. So we'll see what happens with Lars Sullivan as going forward. Then we had the Street Profits versus TM61. Very interesting match here because of what happened at the end. It was a decent back and forth match. Both teams getting a lot of offense and momentum in, taking control of the match themselves. There was a situation where there was a roll-up by Montez Ford, and he got it reversed by Shane Thorne, and then Shane Thorne kind of put his feet on the ropes, and then Nick Miller comes out of nowhere and hangs on to the feet of Shane Thorne for the win, and then TM61 secures that dirty pin victory. So, damn, a very dirty tactic here by TM61, very out of the blue. Now, does this mean TM61 is turned heel? I think maybe they're going that direction. It just by the antics right at the end, right before they went towards a curtain, it looked like they were kind of like smirking to the crowd and giving that cocky presence and that cocky smirk, saying, "Yeah, you know, we had to do what we had to do to win." Street Profits very, very upset in the ring. But this is very interesting. Again, they're keeping the tag team division fresh, keeping your eyes glued to it. TM61, the big heel turn. We saw what they did with that whole promo package with them, that 2-episode promo package, like hyping them up, getting them back into the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, them losing that, and then now they're trying to build momentum back, and now they pull out this dirty tactic against the Street Profits. It's going to be interesting to see what they do from here. I know there's probably going to be something next week where they're going to ask for a rematch, or maybe it's like one-on-one, one person versus the other, one person from the other team, one-on-one. But it looks like Street Profits and TM61. I don't think it's the last we've seen of these guys going at each other. But very, very interesting here. TM61 potentially turning heel. So this is very, very interesting. I cannot wait for next week. And speaking of tag teams, I want to get into what they announced for next week, what we got out here, because we got this tail of the tape thing on the screen. I'm going, okay, why are we getting this already? We got the tail of tape between Heavy Machinery and War Machine, or the War Raiders. And they announced that this match is actually going to happen next week. Okay, I don't think that was the right idea. And they had this like really sick promo for these guys. Like, this was like a pay-per-view hype promo, like a promo you see before a pay-per-view match. I don't know why we're getting this so soon. I mean, we're going to, NXT TakeOver Chicago is probably I don't know when they said they've announced it. I know that it's coming up, and they're going back to Chicago for TakeOver. I know it's official. It's not in the rumor mill or anything. Let me just quickly Google it, just so I know where it is from here, so that I could match it up to this match with the War Raiders and War Machine, or Heavy Machinery, sorry. NXT TakeOver Chicago. Does not say yet. This is the old one. I don't want the old one. Okay, here it is. It returns to the Allstate Arena June 16th. Okay, so we're a little bit over a month until the next TakeOver Chicago on June 16th. Again, I think they could have waited for this. I think they could have done a little bit more with these two. Maybe had a one-on-one match between the two. Had a like one guy from the Warriors face another guy from the Heavy Machinery, like I said, with the last tag team. This is just like, I think this is way too early. And I hope something happens next week that these guys don't actually have the match, because I really don't think they should be pushing this. And this is, again, like I said in the beginning of the show, NXT is not perfect. This is one thing I don't think they should be doing. I think this is wrong. I hope they really fix their mistake here, or if they have their match, it's not a very good match and end up having their big rematch maybe at TakeOver. But again, that just ruins it for me. I think this type of match with these two teams who are like the big, heavy teams here in NXT, is basically a dream match that people want to see as soon as War Raiders, or the War Machine, if you guys previously know them as, were announced that they were coming to NXT. People want to see these two guys eventually go at it. The fact that they're doing it this quick, I really don't agree with that. I hope that they rethink this and we get it actually at the TakeOver Chicago pay-per-view. I think that would have been a better payoff. I think you could have done that exact promo we seen last night at that pay-per-view and got as much hype for it as you can. So that's one thing I want to point out just for the next week's match of Heavy Machinery and War Raiders. Next, we had a backstage interview with Cassius Ohno talking about the Gargano and Ciampa situation. Cassius Ohno basically calling Ciampa a coward here, saying that he will make Ciampa feel helpless just like he did to Johnny Gargano. And they went and announced that next week it's going to be Cassius Ohno against Tommaso Ciampa in a one-on-one match, so that'll be interesting to see next week as well. So up next we had the Kona Reeves re-debut, if you will, because he was in NXT before and he got repackaged into this The Finest Kona Reeves, and that was coming up next. He ends up facing this enhancement talent named Patrick Scott, a guy with two first names. Yes, I wouldn't trust that guy. Anyway, see, he faces the re-debuting Kona Reeves as The Finest, so The Finest re-debut of Kona Reeves. He says he's inspired by The Rock. I'm assuming that it's a Hollywood Rock version. I don't know how I can see any other type of Rock inspired into this character. It was a decent debut. It was all right. I mean, he had a little. I was expecting maybe a little bit more, but I think maybe they're saving that out of Kona Reeves. I think we're going to see more out of him. So I still have a little bit of faith in this guy. He hits his finishing move, which I thought was pretty cool. He had also a reverse elbow drop that looked pretty nice. But he hit they call it the Hawaiian drop, which is a modified Samoan drop for the win. Again, I see a lot of potential in this guy. I hope they do something with him. There's something there that will continue to grow. I'm sure if they're going to develop the character in him as time goes on, we're going to see a big growth in him. It was just like Velveteen Dream when he first came back. I think you got to develop it a little bit of time, but I think if they do it the right way, we're going to see a lot of Kona Reeves. To me, I think it's going to eventually be Kona Reeves versus the Velveteen Dream in a one-on-one match. I think that's the direction I would go in, and you have the Finest Kona Reeves against the Velveteen Dream. It looks like it would be an amazing match. John Morrison wannabe. Yeah, he looks like a combination of John Morrison and Velveteen Dream put together. It's really weird. Also in the live chat, we have Cupid Girl saying, I want a best out of 3 series of TM61. Winner gets a title shot. That's a really good idea. Cupid Girl, if that happens, we're going to remember that right there. Tiffany, the Finest with his purple undies. Kona. Yeah, Cupid Girl, not a fan there. But Cupid Girl, don't get me wrong here. I'm pretty sure that it's going to end up in Kona Reeves versus the Velveteen Dream, your boy there. So I'm guessing that's what the direction they're going into from here. So we'll see what happens. Oh boy, we got someone joining the chat here. Brandy Lynn 111. Hi, Mr. Bubble Wrap. Oh boy. Brandy Lynn, a Southern twerker. A little bit of an inside joke, but what's going on, Brady? Thanks for joining in the chat. So after the Kona Reeves match, we got an EC3 promo. You know, Cupid Girl would love this promo. really good promo. I think it was really, really well done. Next week will be his TV debut, he announced, and then he'll transcend NXT into NX3. I really like the graphic work here, where they changed the T into a 3. Really, really well done. I'm hyped for EC3's first televised match next week, and they also announced that he will go one-on-one with Raul Mendoza next week for his TV debut. Dakota Kai got interviewed outside. Now, this is really cool. This is something about NXT that I really appreciate. They do this thing where there's these interviews where there's like multiple reporters, like kind of like another sport feel. Like you see it in hockey, you see it in football, and other types of sports like that, where there's like a group of reporters all with their phones and microphones sticking into their face. I love the way that the NXT does that here. I really, really love that. And they do it here with Dakota Kai. She's getting interviewed by the reporters outside. Again, I love the sports interview type. It's really, really cool. She's getting interviewed about the women's evolution NXT and how the women are transcending from NXT to the main roster. And then someone brings up the Shayna Baszler situation. Her reaction just like turns like that. And she gets pissed instantly. She doesn't want to talk about it. But in comes Vanessa Bourne. So I have something to say in her little sassy voice there, and says Dakota Kai has handled that situation like a coward with Shayna Baszler, and Vanessa Bourne says I would have slapped Shayna Baszler all over town. Yeah, okay, Vanessa. Okay, let's just bring it back here. Who the fuck are you, Vanessa? You wouldn't do shit. So this was pretty interesting. Dakota Kai says she's got issues with Vanessa and that she could take Vanessa. So it looks like Dakota Kai and Vanessa Bourne are going to be facing each other really, really soon, which that's going to be interesting. I think maybe Shayna Baszler gets involved in that somehow. I think she'd probably interfere and probably just destroy them both. I think I would do that with Shayna Baszler, or maybe she just destroys Vanessa Bourne in front of Dakota, scaring her, something like that. Anyways, we moved on. We had the women's match between Candice LeRae and Bianca Belair. Again, Candice not in the right frame of mind after what she's seen her husband go through last week at the hands of Tommaso Ciampa. She doesn't look focused at all coming out. She doesn't have that bubbly look in her face. Just a very bland, generic look on her face as she's making her entrance. As for Bianca Belair, she's been amazing. Big breath of fresh air for this women's division. I cannot wait for the future when her and Sasha Banks are feud. You know that feud is going to happen in the future. Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. It's going to happen. And if it doesn't, they're going to miss a big opportunity because they're almost basically the same character. And you know when their two characters are going to clash, it's going to be such a good and heated feud. So I cannot wait for that. I hope they go in that direction in the future, a year or two from now when Bianca Belair does get called up to the main roster. There's a really, really crazy spot in the match where Bianca Belair basically deadlifted Candice LeRae from the ground. Like, that's a lot of strength right there. And then power lifted her over her head and held her up there for a bit. Like, Bianca Belair is freakishly strong, man. She could probably pick me up and lift me like that. Not going to lie, man. She is strong as hell. And basically did like that military press on top of the turnbuckle. Candice started building momentum a little bit. It looked like she was trying to fight her way back, but Bianca fights back and hits her finisher, that alley-oop powerbomb for the win. Bianca Belair building more and more momentum as the weeks go by. She's still undefeated. She's going to be huge. Now, is she being built up to be the answer to Shayna Baszler? Is it going to be Bianca Belair the one to dethrone Shayna Baszler? I think so. If they continue this way, you keep Bianca Belair away from Shayna Baszler until you're ready to start that feud. Maybe for NXT Brooklyn this year, you do something like that, and you have Bianca Belair versus Shayna Baszler, or you wait maybe a whole year for that. But I honestly think Bianca Belair is going to be the answer to Shayna Baszler. They're just going to keep building her up like this, making her undefeated, making her look strong like they did this week with powerlifting Candice right over her head. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do with Bianca Belair going forward. She's got a lot of momentum on her side, and I hope she is going to be built into the answer for Shayna Baszler. So we'll see what happens with that. So we got that promo that usually happens near the end of NXT, announcing next week's match. We got EC3 against Raul Mendoza, so EC3's televised debut. We get Cassius Ohno facing Tommaso Ciampa, trying to teach some sense into Tommaso Ciampa after what he did to Johnny Gargano. And we have the War Raiders against Heavy Machinery. You guys know how I feel about that. I don't think that this match should be happening just yet. This match should be you should be waiting for this match a little bit longer. Stretch it out to NXT TakeOver Chicago and have the big match there. Over to live chat. Let's just quickly go through here. I missed a lot of stuff. I apologize. We got Tiffany saying Bianca's upper body scares me. It scares me, dude. She's so fit, that girl. She's incredible. Cuba Girl saying, I swear it's been months since we heard the crap out of that whip. I know. I don't know why she doesn't whip anyone with that hair anymore. I don't know what they're saving that for. It basically was like one of her signatures, so I don't know what's going on with that. Sounds like someone I would want to piss off. Yeah, you don't want to piss off Bianca Belair, Brandy. Don't want to do that. That big bitch. Bianca is now the Sasha Banks of NXT. Yeah, she's got that character and that charisma behind her, Cuba Girl. I can see it. Tiffany Kyle coming to NXT Brooklyn. He just doesn't know it yet. We'll see. I don't have much of a choice, eh? Well, we'll see. I'll lay some coffee at the Barclays Center for Kyle. Tiffany, that might get me down there, so we'll see about that. But anyways, those are the announced matches for next week and stuff to look forward to. And then we get into the main event last night of Pete Dunne versus Roderick Strong. Roddy making his original entrance with "Got Me" because he's making that his old theme song. Then he goes to his knees on the stage and looks down at the ground, and then the Undisputed Era theme starts, and he has a big smirk on his face, and he's making his entrance with the Undisputed Era theme, and out comes Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly to back him up. This is a very, very good match. Again, you got a guy like Roderick Strong, Pete Dunne together in a match together. Doesn't have to be a main event. It could be a singles match in the beginning of the show. You know these guys are going to put it on the line and have a really good match. They put on a really good match last night. Good back and forth action throughout the match. I love the spot where Dunne actually eventually catches Roddy's chop with his hand and then does that joint finger manipulation thing. Really, really scary and cringy thing to watch if you guys are not used to that. It's just, it gets me every time. Dunne eventually hits the better end, but Cole and O'Reilly jump the ring and start attacking Pete Dunne, causing a DQ. And then Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan actually come out to save Pete Dunne. And then the UK people end up throwing Undisputed Era all out of the ring and are left standing strong with Dunne in the middle and Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan on the other side and the Undisputed Era on the stage. It looks like this is transitioning to a Undisputed Era versus this Team UK match. I think it's a 3-on-3 match is going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen at TakeOver Chicago. We're probably going to get it in a few weeks. That's not the type of match I'd have at NXT TakeOver Chicago. I could see maybe Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne for the UK title, and Roderick Strong actually winning that championship, and then holding 2 titles maybe, and then Adam Cole facing Oney Lorcan again. I don't know what's going on with that. Or maybe Pete Dunne faces Adam Cole at TakeOver Chicago, and then the tag team championships are defended against Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. But I don't think this feud is done. It's very interesting. It's different. I didn't think they were going to go in this direction with this Team UK and then the Undisputed Era. So I don't know. It's very, very interesting what they're going to do here. I'm intrigued. I don't know. I can't think of anything. Like the end result of this, I can't think of what is Pete Dunne going to defend his title against Adam Cole? Is he going to defend his title against Roderick Strong? Is Roderick Strong going to hold 2 titles, the tag titles and the UK Championship? It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. When is Roddy going back to 205 Live? I don't know, Cuba Girl. I don't think he's actually going back for a while now, so we'll see what happens. B is for Awesome is here in the chat. What's going on, man? These self-proclaimed greatest fans, eh? This is interesting, man. Call-ins on I don't really do call-ins for the Lowdown show. B is for Awesome. I already have my pants off. Oh God. I usually save those for like special shows. We're most likely gonna do it for the 100th episode next week. So look out on our Twitter for that. B is for Awesome. I'll let you call in, man. But for sure. I said at the beginning of the show, B is for Awesome, that we're going to do something big for the 100th Lowdown episode next week. Probably going to be on YouTube Live, and then I'll be able to let you guys call into that show. But as for the end of NXT Team UK, I guess we can call them left standing strong in the ring and an Undisputed Era on the ramp. So Very good episode of NXT from start to finish. Again, like I said before, this is why I love watching NXT and I love reviewing it every single week. It's amazing. It leaves you wanting more. It leaves you on the edge of your seat. Even for next week's episode, we got 3 big matches announced. We're going to see the follow of what we just seen at the end of this one and what's going on with Candice LeRae or what's going on with Dakota Kai and Shayna Baszler. There's so much NXT that does in one episode in 1 hour a week that leaves you wanting more, and that's why I said it. Oh, my bad. I thought this was the 100th episode. No. It's going to be bigger. I'm making this bigger if this is the 100th episode. And that's going to be next week. And then, again, if you actually want to say something, I should have said this in the beginning of the show. I apologize. I forgot. If you guys are watching the video version of the podcast, you can see the new layout. I want to thank Salrex on Twitter for making this new and beautiful layout. He also made a Backlash predictions one for me. Guy is amazing. He does amazing work with these layouts, guys. If you guys ever want some logo work or layout work, go check him out. Go check out Salrex on Twitter. Guy does stuff for also Tiffany's podcast on her YouTube layout. She does everything for there. He's amazing. So go check him out and give him a follow and hit him up if you guys need anything like that. I'm going to get him to do a 100th. I think I'm going to get one to do a 100th episode one for me next week. So I'm going to be in touch with him. Kyle, I never knew you said A. Yeah, I do say A a lot, okay? I'm Canadian is what we do. I want more NXT too, Tiff. I wish NXT was a little bit longer every night. Anyways, yeah. So go hit up Salix if you guys need some low work. But that's not the end of this episode. I got some ratings to give out, and it's that part of the show, guys, where we go into the list of 10.
10. You know what? You know what happens? You know what's gonna happen? You just made the list!
That's right. Welcome to the list of 10. That's part of the show where I give a superstar or moment of the week a perfect 10 rating or a rating that makes the list. And I'll start off this week with my perfect 10 rating. And that is going to go to the TM61 heel turn because it's very, very intriguing here. And it's interesting that I would give it to that and not something else on the roster or anything else that happened on the show last night. The intrigue I have for TM61 turning heel is very interesting because they were never, ever a heel in NXT. Maybe they're trying something different with these guys. I think there's a lot of potential with them being a heel team. Maybe they're going to have a different theme song because I think if they're going to go heel, they're going to have a different theme song. Their song is just too babyface to me, but I'm liking the intrigue here. I love that the way they won the match against the the Street Profits, and it's leaving you wanting to see more. What's going to go forward for the TM61? Are they going to be full out heel? Was it just something that they had to be done? So it's going to be interesting to see what they do for TM61 going forward. I'm intrigued, and for that, I'm giving TM61 my perfect 10. That's right. If you guys want to give out your perfect 10 or your moment of the week that makes the list, or gets a perfect 10 rating, leave it in the chat and I will say it right here on the show. Over to live chat, we got B.S. Rossum saying, "You know what happens when you think this is the 100th episode and you're ready to call in half naked?" Yeah, you just made the list. Thanks, B.S. for awesome. Cupid Girl, her 10 moment. Candice's acting in her list moment is AJ still doesn't know when he's going to get a cup for himself. I don't know what the hell is up with that. Why do they keep making this Nakamura bagging AJ Styles a thing? It's so stupid, and it's so typical WWE. It's so lame. It's like they don't give a shit, so they pick the lamest thing and they just stick to it. That's why I don't watch the main roster more. That's why I do not review it, because of lame shit like that. It's just so dumb. But yeah, Candice's acting, her crying this week was amazing, man. Like her backstage interview was just so on point. They did a really, really good job with that. Tiffany, my perfect 10 was the, but just for Cupid Girl 125, so her 10 moment was to Candice's acting. 10. And then her list moment was to AJ Styles. Doesn't know when he's going to get a cup. So AJ Styles doesn't even know or when he's going to get a cup.
You know what? You just made the list.
That's right. And Tiffany saying my perfect 10 was when Kyle opened my present. Well, thank you, Tiffany. Thank you for that. And me putting my pants back on to spare you all as a 10. P.S. Frost, frick, man. Another 10 moment, the greatest moments in Woken history. Those photoshops. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Keep it girl. That was pretty funny. On to my list moment. For NXT, again, it's obvious, I talked about earlier in the show, is going to the too quick of a match between the Heavy Machinery and the War Raiders. Again, like I said, that match should be saved for NXT TakeOver Chicago. They can do a lot to hype up that match, have those both teams like crushing and just squashing opponents maybe in front of each other, building momentum, have a big stare down the week before NXT TakeOver Chicago, and do that promo they showed last night at NXT TakeOver Chicago, and have a big hype for it, man. The Chicago crowd would love and just appreciate that match with those two, but they did something wrong here, and they kind of quick fire, which they don't normally quick fire things in NXT, but this is a blurb in the creative direction there. So unfortunately, NXT, for you pushing this War Raiders and Heavy Machinery match too quick.
You know what? You just made the list.
So that is that. Okay, let's go over the live chat. What else we got? Glorious Greg saying 10 moment to Joe's continuing to roast of Roman. And I got something to talk about that, and I'll save it for the predictions on Saturday for Backlash. But first of all, with Joe continuing to roast Roman, and we all loving it.
10.
That's right. Calling it now, Cup on a pole match, Nakamura versus AJ Styles at Mania. Oh, could you imagine? That's if Vince Russo was behind the helm, B.S. Ross, and you guarantee you'll be seeing that on Monday Night Raw. That's for sure. Tiffany, I heard there are rumors going that Nikki Bella and John Cena is a work for Total Bellas. Oh, probably. They'll do anything to spread shit like that. They're so far into the media and so tied into that kind of shit. I wouldn't doubt it, Tiffany. So I really don't give a fuck. So whatever. It doesn't ruin my day that John Cena and Nikki Bella are broken up. It tore everyone on Twitter. It's like, your daily life will not change because John Cena and Nikki Bella are split up. So get on with your lives and go get your coffee, go get whatever you need, go put your maxi pad on, suck it up, and move on. Don't let it ruin your life. Oh my God. Anyways, that was a list of 10 moment, guys. Thank you very much for that. Wait, I don't know if I have any tweets this week. We'll take a look. I don't think I do. If not, that's okay. We can end the show early. And again, like I said, guys, Saturday, Backlash predictions. It'll probably be live at, again, same time, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we're going to have the 100th episode of the Lowdown Show next week. So big things happening in the next week for No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. So, guys, stay tuned for that. So, other than that, I think that is going to be it for the Lowdown Show episode 99, guys. Yes, episode 99. Next week is 100, so stay tuned for the plans for that. Stick over to Twitter for that and any news we have on that. And again, Backlash predictions on Saturday. You don't want to miss that, live at 2 p.m. right here, back on Spreaker, so stay tuned for that. Other than that, guys, episode 99 of the Lowdown Show right here on No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. Your wrestling podcast that talks about the WWE and No Holds Barred on anything we say. Pun intended. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at No Holds Barred WP. You can follow the podcast on Instagram, No Holds Barred WP as well. You can also follow myself at Real Kyle Masters. If you want to listen to us on the go, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and Spreaker, so you can find us. Spreaker is a glorious podcast app that's available for all Android and Apple devices. It's free to download, free to make a profile, and you can chat with us live on the air, and you can listen to all previous episodes of the podcast. Guys, if you want to watch any video versions of the podcast, youtube.com/NHBWR. Hit that subscribe button and that bell icon for all upload updates. You can watch any video versions of the podcast, unboxings, and so forth. I'm your host, as always, for the Lowdown Show, the self-proclaimed greatest host, Kyle Masters. And I'll see you guys on Saturday for Backlash predictions, and I'm here always reminding you to keep it on the Lowdown.
Kick this sorry ass out on the street. That what you got? Used to think you own the street. We're back to back and your ass is dead meat. Victory is sweet. Bring it on. Here's a receipt. Bring it on. What you gonna do about it? Bring it on. Is that what you got? Bring it on. So what you gonna do about it? Bring it on. Gonna kick this sorry ass, but what you gonna